We all want to stop hitting drives like that. Myself, James, everyone behind the screen probably wants to stop miss-hitting your driver. How do we do that? That's the big question we're talking about today on Get Good at Golf, guys, because we all want to be able to say we hit it further than our playing partners. I thoroughly enjoy saying I hit it further than James.
Lies.
James thoroughly enjoys saying he hits it past Bobby.
True.
But how can you hit it past your playing partners? Well, the big thing that we want to talk about, if you're going to the driving range, if you've got an all-new singing, dancing driver, or dancing and singing driver.
Mini driver.
Mini driver, maybe a mini driver. Whatever driver you've
Five
got.
would get past Bobby.
Well, exactly. So, we want to be able to hit it further. But the main thing if you've got a new driver is you need to think what tee height you are using. Because how many times I see people use the wrong tee height. So none of us want to hit the top part of our driver. We don't want that mark on the top. We don't want to be mid-handicap Dave. Unfortunately, on my channel, he has a bit of a reputation. He did it once 3 years ago, but we've never let him live it down. Because you always know, if you look down at that driver, if you pick up your friend's driver, the first thing you'll say is, ooh, couple of marks on there. Was that you or have you borrowed it someone? And they will always say it wasn't me. But I've got this tee height at 1 inch off the ground. So again, if we're thinking about castle tees, this would probably be a white castle tee. So is that the right height for you? Well, what you want to do is go to your driving range, and we know on a driving range, just like here at Waterfront, you will get all different tee sizes that you can change on the mat. So get on the mat and maybe hit 5 balls with each tee height and start to see which one is the best for you. Because even if your swing might be a little bit across the golf ball, might be a little bit in across the golf ball, but we will start to get a more centered strike, because what we don't want to do is hit this part of the face here. We don't want to be low on the face, and we also don't want to be on this top line right here.
Would you rather be a little bit too high or a little bit too low?
So if anything, we would like to be a little bit higher. So that's going to take a little bit of spin off. It's going to help you get a little bit more ball speed. But again, you might be somebody who hits it off the heel. You might be somebody who hits it off the toe. But if it's a little bit higher, then we know we're going to get that ball speed up. We're going to get a little bit more forgiveness. And we're hopefully going to maybe find a few more fairways for you and lower your scores. So you'll see here on this tee height right here. So this is 1 inch off the ground. For me, you'll start to see that happens right there. So look how high that drive has gone. And yes, that has carried 247 yards, gone 260, but I should be hitting it close to 300 yards. So that was very much bottom off the face. And if we look at the spin, 3,467. So that is quite high, and that's because of that strike location. So we can see that was very much down here at the bottom.
How's your finger?
Fingers, it's not fell off yet. I think at some point the nail will fall off, but let's change tee height now. So let's start to see. On here you can see on the Golf Sun Simulator, we've got a lot of options here. So
I want to see that.
We will get to there. So I'm going to go middle range. I'm going to go 1.6, which is what the system sets up as an average tee height. So what tee that is, I would say it looks like the pink castle tee. We all know, especially here in the UK, we all see a lot of pink castle tees on the ground. If you're mid-handicap Dave, you're like a seagull. You run around trying to find pink castle tees because he doesn't want to purchase them.
And then tie rope around them.
And then tie rope around them and tie it to his laces as he hits it. You know what he's like, Dave. He's a Yorkshireman. So here for me, straight away, this is a lot higher than I normally tee the golf ball. So this is where for you, you have to look down behind that golf ball and have confidence, because you don't want to be stood here behind the ball thinking, right, if I don't get this right, I'm going to go straight under that golf ball and I'm probably going to be able to catch it if I run 100 yards, because it's going to go straight up in the air. You're going to ruin that driver. So you need to make sure that you've got a tee height that you're comfortable with. Again, from there, it's all about how you look at the golf ball. So for me, this is where a tee height can also dictate or tell you a lot about your setup. So for me, if you're somebody, which we see a lot, myself and James, where you've got a lot of weight left, you're probably looking at the top of the golf ball, then you probably think here that you are going to be hitting down and you are going to hit the top of that driver. If we change your setup slightly, so if you get a tee height and it looks extremely high, then what we want you to feel like is you're just angling your body back a little bit, making sure that your zipper or your body is angled backwards, and you're now looking at the back of that golf ball. So if I look at the back of the golf ball now, that doesn't look anywhere near as intimidating behind the golf ball. And if I now get into that position and hit this drive,
oh, look at that.
But you see that a more centred stripe, but we can still see that right there, that has gone a little bit too high. So again there for me, 254 carat, 270. Look at that spin. Again, close to 3,500 spin. So I'm still trying to find that perfect tee height for me here. So let's go up now. We're going to go 2.4.
Would you like me to do this?
I'll let James do the honours with this one.
And this is interesting because, I mean, this is too high. So if we talk, there isn't a castle tee that goes this high. This is quite frankly ridiculous. The only people I know who tee a ball up like this are probably James Tate, Martin Borgmeyer, the long drive guys who want to really, really hit it hard. Now, if you are teeing it this high, you need to be hitting up on this golf ball. You need to have that sternum back, like Chris has said. You need to be looking at the back of the ball. But I find that because this is so high, and a lot of people will be asking, why don't we just tee up really, really, really high? Because surely it's easier to properly launch it. And if you train for long drive and you have a longer driver shaft and a light driver shaft with loads of kick in it, that's probably correct. But from here, I actually find that I'm trying to hit up on it that much, the lie angle of the driver points to face left. So I find that if I were to even try, I'm really sorry if this goes wrong, Chris, this is your driver, isn't it? But if I'm trying to really get one out here, you can see that I've hit that pretty well. It's spinning at 2,500. It's carrying just past Chris nearly, but it's gone left because essentially what's happening there is the face angle is pointing so far left. So it's brought the spin down like we said, but even with a kind of quite tight swing without a warm-up, Chris has had a bit of a warm-up as well, hasn't he? You can see that it's managed to bring that spin rate down quite nicely. But again, really, that's the one where I'm thinking, is it worth having it teed up that high? Because I've very nearly skied your driver there.
Yeah, but this is the question, isn't it? Because a lot of people just say, oh, tee it high and watch it fly. So everybody says, oh, you're teeing it too low, you're teeing it too low.
I'm surprised the Golf Sun system goes this high, but if you are working on your long drive, then I suppose it's a good way of...
Yeah, because here, obviously, we're going to be adding a lot of loft. You need a 2-degree driver here.
And that, like, I've hit that really well. The spin's down, but again, it's kind of pointing left, isn't it? The path was decent, the club face was square, but it's just not quite doing what we want it to do. That's probably as good as I'm going to be able to do it realistically. Fading back nicely, it's pitched kind of, as you can see, just past that, releasing up to 275. But I think there's a nice middle ground, and I think the pink tee for most people is going to be the tee that helps you with your game. If you don't like using coloured castle tees, then a white tee where we just have the ball kind of halfway above the equator of the driver, that's going to work perfectly for you moving forward in 2025, unless you're like Chris and you tee up like that.
Red castle.